Back in 2019, the internet was full of rosemary essential oil praises. It was almost presented like a miracle. No side effects, only benefits. I decided to try it. I started ingesting it. It improved my memory, and in addition to that, it also provided some surprising benefits and improvements. But after a few months, I started noticing something that really scared me. I felt like it was changing my brain. I'm going to share exactly what I did, what doses I used, what I experienced, and what made me stop. I keep trying different things for improving health or things that are beneficial for health in general. And back then, I was exploring essential oils. At that time, I was not interested in aromatherapy, I was more into ingesting them. So I first started using essential oils around June 2019, and I kind of ordered a test batch first. And by that, I mean I ordered a small quantity. I only ordered two essential oils, rosemary essential oil and one other essential oil. And the purpose was because one, I wanted to make sure that I was ordering it from a reliable source and the oil was good quality. And two, it provided the benefits that aligned with my goal or served the purpose that I wanted to use it for. So the experience went well, and after a couple months, I ordered some more essential oils, including rosemary essential oil. So the regular use of rosemary essential oil started in around mid July 2019 till December 2019 or around January 2020. Before I dive deeper, I would like to clarify that at that time I was just a YouTube viewer and not a creator, and I was doing this entirely for myself, and I had no intention of sharing this online like ever. And so that's why I did not journal every exact date and time, and I only noticed what is important for me. Um, but before making this video, I went through my purchase history. I verified my purchase history and other records to make sure that I was following the correct timeline. So, of course, I did my research and I found out that there were so many health benefits associated with it, and it was safe to be ingested under medical supervision. The information available on the internet then versus now is very different. So at that time, the internet was flooded with its praises and benefits, like it has no side effects. Versus now, the internet is full of videos claiming that they have a bad reputation and portraying them as dangerous, and also claiming that they should never be ingested. I think both these views are a little too far from the truth, especially the narrative on the internet now. Anyways, I started ingesting it. I will take a glass of lukewarm milk, add a little bit honey into it, and a drop of rosemary essential oil. And I will take it twice daily, one time in the morning and once in the evening. I was also testing other essential oils as well, and I kept checking them for a few days. But ultimately, I decided to go with rosemary essential oil only on a regular basis. So my first impression was that the oil had a subtle cooling effect, which was soothing in the beginning. And with regular use, I started noticing many other health benefits, such as sharper memory, improved digestion, and accelerated hair growth. After using it for some time, I increased the dose to 2 drops, but only for the evening time. And also, I was only consistent during the evening. Sometimes I would miss it in the morning, and eventually I stopped drinking it in the morning altogether and only drank it once a day. I was very curious and cautious about the dose, and since I could not find the right dose anywhere on the internet, so I relied on my personal experience and observation. For example, when I felt that 1 drop was a little too slow in providing health benefits, I increased the dose to 2 drops. And I also felt that since I started skipping the 1 drop in the morning, that should mean that 2 drops in the evening is equivalent of 1 drop twice daily and not a high dose. And eventually, I increased the dose to 3 drops, which felt like a normal quantity for me. So I kept using 3 drops for a while, and at that time, I was suffering from some kind of grief, and the pain just won't go away. The oil helped me a lot with that as well, and it helped me feel better, and it made the emotional weight much more tolerable. And this is backed by science. So scientifically, rosemary essential oil is linked to cortisol reduction, and cortisol is the stress hormone, which is also related to the fact that the human body treats the emotional pain and a physical pain the same way. Anyways, I still remain very concerned about the dosage, so I searched on the internet again, and still could not find any single video or a website or anything mentioning any risks or dangers associated with it, or there was no mention of the correct dose or an effect of an overdose. So to me, it suggested that the quantity that I was using was safe. So later on, I even increased the dose to 4 and 5 drops, but for a very short period of time, and I quickly stopped it. Even though I felt fine, but and I also hadn't read about any side effects. But I had this intuition. I thought that 4 and 5 drops might be a little too strong, and I just felt that I should not be taking that much. Also, around that time, I experienced the male brain state. I experienced two things of the male brain state, and one that my mind became calmer, quieter, and less reactive. For example, at that time, I used to take Uber to commute to and from university where I was teaching, and I had all sorts of drivers, good, bad, some really reckless ones too. And it's natural that you are concerned about the situation, and then you think maybe you should ask them to slow down, but sometimes it can backfire. Yeah, I have dealt with those kinds of drivers too, where you ask them to slow down and follow the limit, and they press on the accelerator even harder. But anyways, usually I would be like a little concerned, and maybe you can say a little bit worried. Like on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm a level 1 worried, and but during that time, I the same concern was there, but I was not worried, or like maybe I was worried on a scale like a 0.5 level worried, which is basically the same as being concerned. So my brain was less chatty, less reactive, quieter, and calmer, like 40 to 60% calmer than usual. So all of this felt like the male brain state. And as you know, the male brain has a better tolerance, fewer expressions, and even maybe the nothing zone. And two, that my mind was even able to do nothing. Yeah, I even experienced the nothing zone. um, in general, my mind is never empty. It's constantly processing information or observing or thinking. It's never empty, it's always doing something. I once heard a comedian say that men's mind have this box called nothing, and they can sit in that for hours. And this concept was completely foreign to me because my mind was never empty, and I could never imagine, I mean, how someone could do nothing, like literally nothing, not even thinking, unless I experienced this thing myself around that time. So I was sitting in the Uber and there was nothing going on. I mean, nothing significant of the sort, no reckless driving, nothing. And everything was calm and quiet. And I then experienced this nothing in my brain. And at that moment, my mind was completely empty, not processing even a single thought, which also was, of course, very concerning for me because I did not want to change the software of my brain. So that was another reason that I stopped using 4 and 5 drops. Later on, the seasons changed. When I had started, it was summer season, and then the winter season set in. When the colder days started, I noticed a cooling inside my head, like under the skull, over my brain, and also in my eyes. Now, where I live, we get about 10 to 15 days of truly intense cold weather in December and January. It's not a harsh winter overall, but during those coldest days, I felt so much cold inside my head. I would just wrap my head in layers and layers of blanket, but I won't feel any warmth. The warmth would just not reach that deep inside. I even became hypersensitive to the air. It wasn't particularly windy outside. I mean, we do not have a very windy winter season, but I could feel even the slightest drift. For example, if I'm lying in the bed with my head facing towards the door, for example, I'm lying like this and my head is over there and the door is a few feet away over there, and someone opened the door without making any noise, even just half an inch, and I would still be able to detect it instantly due to the outside ear's colder temperature, even though it was just a tiny shift in temperature, and it was almost negligible difference. Even if there was no heater on in the room, and the room was just warmer because of its four walls and being closed. At that time I was teaching at the university, and this cooling sensation started affecting my daily work. I like to plan my work. I always know what I'm teaching today, tomorrow, and the day after that. I like to review my lectures before every class, but I just stopped doing it. I started going in and delivering lectures without preparation, and all this became very draining for my brain. And of course, the more I pushed myself for to just keep doing and keep trying to review and plan, the more I just wanted to rest, and I just won't even feel like going to the class and deliver a lecture. Also, my office at the university didn't have a heater, and the campus area was always colder and drier than where I lived. And the office temperature was quite cold and not comfortable to sit, not just for my brain, but for my entire self. So, sitting in that office, I would feel as if the veins inside my brain, like right into the skull, were trembling. So the whole process started becoming more and more exhausting, and there came a time that I just could not take it anymore. And I woke up one morning and I was like, I can't go to university today. And so I took one day off and then a few more days off. And during those off days, I purchased a heater for my office, and also got permission to keep the heater in the office. And then I went back. But shortly after that, we all went into lockdown due to pandemic in the beginning of 2020, like in February, or like by the end of February, I guess. Uh, where I live, the spread of the pandemic wasn't huge, and we went into lockdown later than many other countries. The cooling effect that I felt was caused by a compound called cineol, which is a cooling agent. So after all this, I immediately first I reduced the how often I was using the oil, and then but I only did it for a few more days, and then I stopped using it completely, and started reversing the effects, which eventually I succeeded in doing. So, by the way, when I purchased this oil, this was very transparent, and it was almost like the color of this glass. And recently I have been using essential oils for different purposes, and I was mixing essential oils and I was using the same dropper for different essential oils, and the other essential oil was a little bit yellowish. So I think a little bit contamination uh, gave this a little yellow color. Otherwise the rosemary essential oil is very transparent. So if you want to buy it, keep in mind the color and quality. It took me several months to reverse the effects. I had used another essential oil whose effect was kind of like a little opposite to rosemary essential oil. It had a little warming effect to the brain, and I felt that if I used it, it would accelerate the recovery. But I was already scared and I didn't want to risk it. So I preferred a slower, more natural approach through my diet. And it took longer, but eventually I succeeded. And that's what matters. The video is getting long and I'll wrap this up. This was my personal experience, and I hope sharing this experience and knowledge help you in any way, shape, or form. If you have any questions, comment below and I will try to answer as many as I can. By the way, I'm not recommending that you ingest essential oils. They are highly concentrated substances. I do everything myself. I'm a very good observer and I'm very good at reading my body's signals. And I've been doing all this since a really long time. So do your own research and be careful if you want to try it. To put it in simple terms, one drop of rosemary essential oil is about 0.05 ml. It takes roughly 100 grams of fresh rosemary leaves to produce just 1 gram of essential oil, if you assume 1% on average yield. And there are about 20 to 25 drops in 1 gram. To get just one drop, you're looking at 4 to 5 grams of fresh rosemary leaves. So when I was ingesting 5 drops, I was effectively ingesting the concentrated essence of 20 to 25 grams of fresh rosemary. and that's a massive amount.